Moving right along, let's go ahead and rename that last sketch. We'll call it our lens outer housing profile. And select the right plane and fire off the line tool using the L key on the keyboard once again. And now we're just going to zoom in and get this thing started. I'm going to click here, click right up here, put a little notch in it, then an angled line, something about like that. And then I'm going to make 10 ridges, 10 stair steps on my way down. So here we go. I'm going to go straight across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just like that. And then come back up and close this shape right at the end. Now, I've made a mistake here. I actually want for this line to be vertical, so I'm going to drag this point over until it's close to vertical, and it should snap to vertical. Then I can click on the line and then click on Make Vertical, and that's going to constrain this so that now it's perfectly vertical all the time. Now there are a few constraints that I know right off the bat. First of all, I want the back of the last shape to be collinear with the back of this shape. Just like all the others, I want a 1/4 millimeter clearance between these two parts, so we'll put that 0.25 right there. I also want to make this line coincident with that point using the Make Coincident button. Not Make Midpoint, but Make Coincident. And I know I want to add a dimension here and make this a 1/2 millimeter. I also want for this point to be coincident with that line. Once again, coincident, not midpoint. And put a smart dimension from this line to this line, making this little ridge 3.75 millimeters. Now for the rest of these, we're going to use a little trick. What I want to do is make all of these horizontal lines equal. So I'm going to select each horizontal line all the way down, all at once, and then just come up and click to make them equal. I can then select all of the vertical lines and do the exact same thing. Now we have a beautifully defined little accordion that we can drag in and out. We can make it as deep as we want, as wide as we want, and everything stays nice and neat and tidy. I really like that. So now let's add a couple more dimensions. I want for this to be 1 millimeter up here. I know that I want the inside dimension of the lens from here to the top plane to be 29 millimeters divided by 2. And finally, we just need to define a depth from this point to this line, and that is 8 millimeters. And now we have a fully defined sketch. And it's very easy to control. If we decided that we wanted this lens to be deeper, we could just change this to 10 millimeters, and it would update. But let's change it back to 8. Or if the lens diameter were to change, say, to 12, then that would be really easy to change. So now we can go ahead and exit this sketch, move on to the next one. I'm going to select the right plane, grab the line tool again with the L key on the keyboard. I'm going to start right up here at the top, come across, come down to the bottom, across the bottom a little bit, and come up. Now I want for this part to actually be an arc, not a line, and there's a handy way to do that without having to go select the arc tool. All I have to do is come back down here and mouse over this same point, and it'll convert my tool to an arc tool. So if I mouse over this point, it lets me choose whether I want to do a tangent arc, or mouse over it again and come vertical. It'll let me do a perpendicular arc, which is what I want in this case. So I'm going to go ahead and click here to close off that shape, and now we just have to add dimensions to lock it into place. So let's go ahead and smart dimension from here to here. It's going to be our customary 1/4 millimeter clearance. Make these two lines collinear. Now I know that the center of this lens is about 7 millimeters deep from the inside here. So we'll call that 7 millimeters. And we'll go ahead and set our lens radius. Just by clicking on this arc, we can set a radius value, and we'll make that 50 millimeters. And now that is our lens sketch, and we can just exit that. So let's go ahead and rename our sketches so far. This one, we'll call this our lens inner housing profile. And we'll call this last one the lens itself. And I think we've only got 4 more shapes to go, so let's see if we can go ahead and knock those out real quick. Let's select the right plane and then hit the L key on the keyboard to fire off the line tool. Then I'm just going to draw a vertical or a horizontal line rather, right across here, maybe right up, and then create a diagonal line followed by a horizontal stair step, and we're going to make 5 stair steps. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then come right down a little bit, all the way back in, like a panhandle, close this guy up. Now obviously I made a little mistake here. This should be a horizontal line, so I'll just click it and click Make Horizontal, easy enough. Then we can use the same exact trick here. I'm going to select all the horizontal lines first and make those equal. Select all the vertical lines, including that one, and make those equal as well. And I want to add a dimension so that the vertical distance between those 2 points is 1 millimeter. And I also can define the horizontal distance between those. Call that 1 millimeter as well. Last, we just need to lock this thing in place. So let's add our 1/4 millimeter tolerance. Make this back edge collinear with the other back edge. Add a dimension from what we've been using as our datum to this outside point. We'll call that 9.75 millimeters. I know I want the distance from the top plane to this line to be 31.5 millimeters divided by 2. I want the distance from this line to this point to be 6.9 millimeters. And finally, I want to add my last clearance right in here and make that 1/4 millimeter as well. Now, anytime I've got 2 dimensions that are the same and that I want to always be the same, I can actually link them to one another. So what I can do here is edit this 1/4 millimeter dimension and click on the little arrow to the right-hand side and say Link Value. That'll let me type a name for this value. Let's call it Clearance. Hit OK. And now when I double-click this other value, I'm able to click the little down arrow, click Link Value, and this time I can just drag down to Clearance and click OK. Now those 2 values are set to be equal. They're linked to the same value. So if I edit one of them, either one of them, say to 0.5, they both update to 0.5. So this is a fantastic way of linking values within your document, and you can do it within separate sketches. So now that our sketch is fully defined, let's go ahead and exit that sketch and go back to a different sketch. Let's say go to this one. So let's edit that sketch. Go up to this clearance value up here, edit that, click the little arrow, Link Value, and select the clearance parameter. Click OK, and now that value is linked with the others as well. So if any of those were to change to a different value, they would all update. So using common parameters is a really powerful way of making it easy for you to make global changes to an entire document.